unpractical. If you don't die, can you look down fucking banana? This is Richard. No! Richard! Why? I was introducing you to Richard. Richard's more important. Let's go! Really? I have like 3 right now. Before. There he is!
Hello and welcome to another Rover 1 video where I spend countless hours building an unpractical Jeep. Now, in this video, you may have noticed that it is extra long. That is because it is the director's cut of the process that is removing the Jeep YJ body off of the frame. In this video will be everything from start to finish that has to do with removing the body off the frame. So without any further ado, let's get started. Now we're going to take this entire tub and set it probably where that Jeep is or where that Mustang is, I don't know yet. And then we're going to clean up the whole frame. And the whole frame cleaning video, that's going to be a whole other video. Now I've tried searching on YouTube and I couldn't find too much. I saw on a forum there was a list of 34 steps. Let's get started with some WD-40. These are what most of the body mounts look like. They're old 20-year-old junk, rusted in there, in awful shape. Now if you're familiar with this, so you're wanting to do it yourself, sometimes getting those body mount bolts off is a nightmare. I'm going to go ahead and do that for the other 10. By the way, the one that's up front under the rad doesn't exist. For me, the bolt's not there, so one less, right? That rear cross member one, it's right under here, right on top of the axle. It's hard to see. Where is it? Oh, it's right up in here. Alright, let's start with that fender. There's several bolts, including several things attached to it, like this air intake, this fuse box here and down there. There's a few, there's that, forget what that is, that canister there. Then there's a mount down there, hard to see. Then there's a few things in here. That one, some bolts running up along there that connect to the grill. And I think that's pretty much it. And then we'll take off this rubber or whatever the hell that is. And then this thing under here. And also I WD-40'd these hood bolts. This hood's pretty heavy, so I'm going to take it off when it comes time to remove the body. Remember when I talked about that patch and how we're going to have to likely cut down that seam? Well, that's why I got a Dremel. Ah, that's cool. I told Google to record video and it worked. Gotta remove this battery now. Get down in there and get those ones on that wall. Okay, now to remove this plate. Remember to reconnect this ground when you go to put it back together. Ugh, gross. Took out that top bolt. Now I can rotate this, it'll come right out, and then I'll just leave that one in, put that one back. So in order to get these bolts along the firewall here, I had to come up with some sort of contraption. I've got a 13mm socket, or in this case it's 1/2 inch. I've got a 3/8 to 1/2 inch adapter, which goes like that, on a 3/8 swivel, 3/8 extension into this 3/8 to 1/4 inch piece that goes into this drill. All that paired together, you can get on these bolts and get them out. So in order to take the body off, we have to disconnect hose here, to take that off, and then a few other things you have to disconnect. The hose going into here, and then take the radiator out, which is pretty easy. Today's day 3. We're going to go down the list, which I have on my computer. I've only got a couple hours. Exposing that fender gave me a lot of space. So as you can see, before we clean up and paint the frame, we obviously have to degrease the thing because paint won't stick to that grease. Look at this. Here's a brain. It says 91XJ up there. And look what the previous owner did. It's just sitting here. It could have fallen through over there like that onto the road, and there goes the Jeep. Jesus. Alright, so there's a lot of stuff connected to the firewall that we have to remove, including this battery. I've already done that once. Pretty easy. But there are a lot of other things, like right here where this wiring cluster clips into. Just take that off. There's another spot here, obviously. There's heater core hoses and a bunch of other stuff. So let's get started on removing some of these things. I was doing some yanking back there and I ended up pulling this out. I have no idea what it's for. It's connected to this. Forget that little cable there that's connected to the block. This is the throttle cable. We're just gonna come in here and disconnect it from in here. It's pretty basic. All you do is you get your finger up in here, pull up. You should be able to disconnect this little clip like that, and then this can come out through that hole, right, like that. And then all you have to do is pinch right in here. Then you come back on the other side here and just pull out. There we go. Back on the other side, passenger side. Let's see if we can get these heater core hoses off. It's basically these clips, and then they should technically pull right off. There's 2 of them. Got a pair of pliers, put it in big mode. Squeeze that clip, wiggle it back. In theory, they just pull right off. Ooh. I think I'm just gonna remove these 2 and take off that connector. The connector comes off really easy. You can see it's just some little clips on there. I just peeled it back and it came right off. Alright, next we're gonna try and remove that bolt right there, and try and get out of this steering shaft. Well, now how do I get it out? Alright, I can't figure this out. It must be seized. I'm just going to leave it on for the time being. Maybe it'll just slip off when I take the body off, and we'll have to realign it when I put the body back. Well, let's tackle the radiator now. I wasn't not going to take it off, but now I decided to. It's just 4 bolts, and I can take the grill off and everything. Why? Because I have to take off these long supports. I got to crawl up under the Jeep and get that hose clamp off, and then we can drain this hose. Disconnect the top hose, and then we can take the rad off. Alright, now it's time for the top hose, so it's not such a mess. Well, there's just 4 bolts, I think, holding this thing on, so we'll take those off. And don't forget this one here, which goes to the reservoir. Let's talk about leverage for a minute. Now, I've left the top bolt in over there because I've learned over the years, leverage can be a bitch. Now, if you're underneath and you're supporting it and this is a big heavy thing, you got 1 bolt and it's the last bolt and it's the hardest bolt, and you take it out and the whole thing falls on you, it could crush you, hurt your finger, break a finger, do something like that. In this case, it's just a light radiator, but still, Save the easiest bolt for last. And in my case, that's this top one. And once I remove that, I can easily grab this and hold it at the same time and I'll be okay. And don't forget these little guys. These are hard to find. Alright, so just take out this last bolt. Take that out. That should come. Also, I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be welded on at the bottom there, much like these ones, so I'll have to fix that up. Gonna go and get that side out so I can get this loom out of the way, so I can get this connector, because this one goes all the way to the grill. A lot of stuff on this Jeep has been 1/2 inch so far. Seems to work better than 13. Just gonna go ahead and put that bolt back. Stay organized. We've got a hood piece. I've got no way to hold the camera for this, but it looks like there may be just one bolt or something and this comes out. I'm gonna give it a shot. Alright, with some gentle wiggling and a loosen of that quarter bolt that's in there, this thing was able to come off. There's a lot of stuff. It's still connected here. Okay, with a little more basic prying techniques, I was able to remove this like so, and then it will just slip through like that, and now I can take the grill off. Now in my case, I took off the other support and there's literally nothing else holding on this grill, so it just can come right off. There you go. Isn't that a sight to behold? And there's that one body mount. In my case, it was nothing there. Now in my case, this is a 4-liter swap. So if you have a 4.2 or 2 point whatever 5 4-cylinder, it might be different. You might have a few different things, but the idea is the same. It's just a bunch of bolts and wires. It's pretty simple. Speaking of bolts and wires, down in here, I've been organizing everything. So I've got these really big bags. It's overkill. Right in here I've got rad bolts, steering arm bolt. There's one bolt in that whole bag. This one I've got breather lines. So stay organized. Keep everything you have in one spot if you can. If you've got to go store a rad over there, take the girl to a friend's house, the battery's in the basement, in the you know, the battery box is somewhere else, and the fender's one place and another, and you're gonna go mental. It's so open, oh my god.
I'm right behind you. Get out of the way! I will fucking kill you, take the man. Fucking hate you. Get the fucking bomb. Fuck, get the fucking bomb. Boy, get the fuck out of my lobby. Get the fuck out of my way. You have an AK. I am opping. Get the fuck out of my way. You have an AK. I am opping. Move! I don't fucking care. I told you I don't fucking care. If you don't have a fucking off, cannot stop coming mid!
Holy crap, come on. What is this guy doing? Are you serious?
Why are you?
Day 4, what are we up to today? Brother's putting in a new alternator. Okay, back working on these brake lines. I couldn't get them out the other day because they're really tight, so I decided to get some vice grips on it and hold that from moving, okay, and then use all my might and get off that 7/16 and that 1/2 inch, and it worked pretty good. You're gonna need a pan under here to catch the brake fluid because it's currently full. Okay, so that's disconnected. We've got to remember to cover these holes. Now we'll just pop this. And let that drain, I guess. Clean those up pretty good. Alright, I sprayed some WD-40 on that master cylinder. That's out of the way, and there's some stuff connected to it. I'll have to figure that out later. So I'm trying to move this computer out of the way, this big ass computer that says 91XJ on it. And I can't because there's these wires that are snagged at the bottom. And so, unfortunately, I have to cut them and splice them back together when I put the Jeep back. And so we'll cut them, I don't know, here. Hate cutting things I don't have to cut. Alright, so I got those two things covered. I was peeking over a little bit when I was moving that unit. I noticed there's a little line here, so disconnect that. Otherwise, when we're lifting the body off, if you forgot something like this and it's plastic, a good chance is you'll break the damn thing. And then this is the master cylinder, disconnected from there. I noticed one sneaky wire over here. That door shuts amazing. Oh, it's day 5. Oh shit, I got the wrong beverage. There we go. Alright guys, still gotta figure out this damn thing. I have no idea what the hell this is. I'm gonna go underneath and have a look. I think this is the only thing left tying the body to the front of the Jeep. Alright, so I followed that line. Looks like it's the speedometer cable. Duh. And this thing was just hand tight, so I loosened it off here. And yank, out it comes. Now all I have to do is disconnect it from right there and snake it all the way back through the front. So there's the cable there, but that's 4-wheel drive. And this is the 5-speed Puget, or Pukey transmission I'll be swapping out. It's French. What do you think about the French?
I don't like the French.
So if you get under your Jeep YJ and you look over the rear drive shaft, directly over top there's this little clip holding in the emergency brake line. Now I had to go disconnect it because the brake line is connected to the frame right there, and it's connected to the body up here. So if you lift the Jeep off, you'll rip the brake line out. And I just used this homemade contraption. It's a screwdriver jammed into a socket, jammed into a 3/8 to 1/4 inch adapter, jammed into a impact, and you spin it up and it opens it up pretty good. But if you can't have that contraption, just a regular flat screwdriver should do the trick and just pry it open. Next, if you take a look down to the right near the passenger side, you'll see this cover, and you'll have to remove that. Even though that cover isn't connected to the frame or anything, you'll have to remove it at the bottom so that you can get this brake line out of the way. It's kind of behind that cover. Alright, so as you can see, I loosened that bolt out, which was right under here, lifted that up out of the way, got this through, and now it's hard to see on video, but we're good to go. And I think the transfer case linkage, I don't think it's connected to the body in any way, but I think we're good there. Next thing you have to worry about is this hanger. It's for the exhaust, it's just holding the exhaust on. You're gonna pop that off, and then have a look under the Jeep and see what else is connected to the body and the frame, or both, and see what you have to disconnect. I know the fuel filler line is connected, so we'll have to go disconnect that. And there might be a few other odds and ends, but just crawl into your Jeep, have a look, make sure to look really hard and really long, because once you lift the body off, if there's a little wire, for example this white wire, which was connected on mine, and it's just sitting there, and you end up lifting off a really heavy body, you'll just rip the wire out, and when you go to put the body back on, you'll have probably no idea where it came from, and then you'll have some trouble. So if you're under your Jeep and you're taking the body off, word of advice, look around hard. Alright, if you get under the passenger side rear tire, up under the rear light, you can see some connections. So I took off that one. I think that's for the lights. Okay. Now there's another thing on this, on my Jeep at least. If this was disconnected, who knows? And this is connected here. This goes somewhere over top of the fuel tank. And so instead of screwing around with that, I'm just going to disconnect it by either ripping it off or something. Should do the trick. Okay, so that's out of the way. Whatever the hell it is. Alright, so there's some wiring under the Jeep that comes into the body, and I think I gotta cut all of this crap so I can snake it through that little hole there. Now, I have no idea what all of this does. Half of these are disconnected. This wire just pulls right off. Top's coming off anyways. But there's a bunch of crap down here. I'm gonna cut it all and then reconnect it later, or figure out what it does. Thankfully, it's all color coded, so orange to orange, yellow to yellow. There we go. Shove it down that hole. By the way, if you find a drill, that's this one, the DeWalt with the NiCad 18-volt batteries, this thing has been a blessing. I know there's new Milwaukee fuel and everything like that, but this thing has taken falls. It's been in the dirt, it's been in the rain, it's been in the mud, and this thing is just a trooper. What have we got to work with here? I think that's it. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Rylan, this body, once I take the bolts off, is ready to come off. I just noticed something. What's missing from this picture? A bolt. There's no bolt holding that in. Alright, end day 4. You can see all the bushings and garbage underneath. Pop around the other side. There's some garbage underneath here. That bolt came out. Look at that. Just absolutely toast. So I have to figure out a new way to support that. Day 6. I think it's day 6. Maybe it's 5. I don't remember. It's shady now. But all we have left to do is the 2 bolts that are under the rear cross member. I think those are the 2 hardest bolts. Then after that, I'm going to try and get a jack and a pry bar and everything. Get the body moving so that when I get some people over here to help me lift it or cherry pick it with an engine hoist, it's easy to move and it's not stuck to the frame. I've also got to take off the hood, take off the doors, take off the top, take out the rear seat, and get rid of all of that weight so that lifting this thing is a lot easier. Yeah, and then once it's over there or over there, I'll be doing a lot of work on the bottom, scraping and cleaning and repairing holes and fixing and painting, and cleaning the frame and all that stuff. So those bolts, if you look right under the rear side, they're right up there. And so I'm going to get in there with an impact. I don't care if I snap them. I'm just going to get in there and break them off, hopefully. Hopefully they just come right out. Oh my god. Did it break? Oh my god, it came right out. Now I did WD-40 this a little bit, but my goodness tits. I hope the other side comes out that easy. Here it goes. Damn, that came out so easy. Trust me, the other ones did not. I had to cut them with a Sawzall and hammer and cry and scream. But these are delicious. Look at that. Oh, shit. That's the impact I was using. It's been a lifesaver. Okay, before we go any further, let's see if we can rock the body loose, at least, with this bar. This is what a lot of people, I guess, use for exterior roll cage, but this stuff is very, very, very heavy, so I don't think I'm going to use it. I'm going to use something a little lighter. Oh yeah, that one's loose. You see that? Screwed up my body, but that's okay. Woo! Alright, let's tackle the hood next and get this thing as light as possible before I start trying to move the body. And so I've already WD-40'd all these bolts. I think I'm going to remove these ones because they're easy to get to. These ones are inside the cowl. I'll just undo these 3. Flip that latch over, take the hood off. It's those 3 right there. It's the easiest thing in the world. What I've got on here is a T40. Alright, now what I'm going to do is get a screwdriver under there. I don't care about damaging this hood too much. Ooh, that released it. I'm going to go release the other side, but I'm in fear this hood's going to fall off, so be careful. It's not supported by a grill or anything. Sad, sad Jeep. Okay, that's a boatload of unnecessary weight. Now let's do the doors and the top. This backyard's turning into a Jeep graveyard, for God's sake. Now when removing the top, I think I've never done this before, so we'll figure it out together. There's some bolts up here, one's missing. There's a few more that go along the top. And I think there's bolts that hold that down over there. Like right here, for example. I've already disconnected the wiring over there, don't forget that if you've got it. And I might need 2 people to carry this. So I'm gonna take out these bolts, and then I'll be right back. This will be the first time that this Jeep has ever gone topless in my presence and in your presence. I'm actually excited to see what it looks like. This side. It's topless. Finally topless. My God. Nice. Next on the list, off camera, I'm just gonna get rid of this seat, all this junk in here, and then try and jar the body. Didn't even need a jack. Check this out. The whole thing is loose. Finally ready. Took like a week. And there it is. The body is finally ready to come off. The next cut will be a bunch of us removing the thing, hopefully. I've got it all cleaned in here. By the way, I've got tiny pinholes I gotta fix. The chair's out, the rear seat. It's over there along with some other crap. And it is ready to come out finally. I love it. Oh, that's a good picture. I cannot wait, my goodness. And by the way, it's been raining a lot recently. And there's tape here because there's a hole. Huge hole that runs the whole span of this thing. And it's raining. I got a whole bunch of water in here and a whole bunch of water over there. And I just can't imagine what behind this dash looks like. So one day I'm gonna get behind this dash. Probably clean it all out too. Don't forget to cover the shift hole. Even though it's this French transmission, you still gotta cover it. Sure is a Jeep graveyard. We got fenders, we got a hood, we got doors, and a hardtop.
As I was killing him, I'm sorry. No.
Oh shit.
Okay. god, they're here. Oh no.
Dude is in the
Keep it clean. Behind you. Quiet.
Okay, welcome to day 7. Today's the day we actually lift the damn thing off the Jeep. I went and borrowed this engine hoist. I've got it positioned as far and deep as it can go. That's what she said. And I've got a rope that goes all the way underneath the body. I've got tension on it. I've got everyone on a corner. I'll be watching that steering shaft. And we're gonna let her jack it up. Okay, you guys ready?
You're gonna hurt yourself if you get it. This seems like loose.
It is loose. That's what we're doing.
What?
We're taking the whole body off.
Kim?
We're taking this entire body off the Jeep over there.
You're fucking crazy.
Oh wait, one sec.
I have one.
Alright, the emergency brake line, I'm just gonna cut it.
Let me know when everyone should, you know.
Push down on this, on the back. Yeah. We gotta go a little higher still. Okay, let's try and roll back. Okay, roll it. Just roll backwards, we should be free.
Oh, jeez. What the fuck, dude? That's so cool. Really go? Holy
Okay,
shit.
hold it in place.
What the fuck? I don't know, man. I don't know. The simple thing to do.
Bodiless Jeep, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that thing floating there.
It's like strips so bare.
Little pedals.
Someone's just fucking biting Flintstone style. Just
That's amazing.
That's pretty impressive, actually.
My God, thank you everybody.
Yes.
Now's the time to do a transmission swap. Look how skinny this French transmission is.
I've never seen a car like this.
All right, so there's a few more things I didn't account for when initially disconnecting everything. One was the emergency brake, which is this here. I just cut it off. Doesn't work anyway. 2 is there was a axle breather line. I didn't disconnect, it's connected up there. And there was a wire loom connected under here. So just be careful of that stuff. And when you're dragging it back, rolling it back, there's a shield there. Make sure it's high enough and stuff like that so you're not hitting the tire. And obviously high enough to clear the shift arm.
I think it's really the Switch game.
Man, that is so cool. Guess that guy's working on his car too.
Yeah, let's get the new quad and play it on the Switch.
Capture. Okay, next thing to do is lower the damn thing.
Psychologist?
Now I'm gonna lower it.
Pushing down. Pushing down.
On that wood there. All right, there it is, sitting there. I can work on it some more. Thanks to all these fine people.
Round looks crusty as fuck.
Wow, that was a lot easier than I thought. Holy shit. Now I can sit here, I can flip it up on its side, tackle the bottom, tackle any other rust I have, work on the frame. Lots of work, lots of videos to come.
Sometimes I don't. Sometimes like I'll read them like I'm
I'm so thankful I took the body off. Get all this dirt out, all this rust, replace that body mount, clean this all up, check out this fuel tank. This is cracked. So cool.
So before I met his Brett, when I was friends with Paul, he was looking at his birthday. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get." That's the thing I had in my house. I showed you, or you saw probably.
Hey, if you made it this far, I just want to say a few more things. thank you for tuning into this build. The Rover 1 has been an amazing inspiration to me, to a few other people, and I cannot wait to keep doing it. Number 2, if you want to know more about the Rover 1 or more about me, Instagram's in the description. Number 3, 5,000 subscriber special. It's going to be amazing. I'm not telling you what it is, but part 2 of it is I'm going to launch a Discord chat specifically for the Rover 1. So if you want to tune in, share some ideas, or just play some video games with me, feel free. Last thing, there's the Rover 1 playlist. There is my most recent video, and there's that subscribe button. So thank you guys, and until further news, I shall talk to you later.